Hello. We've just about come to the end of our semester together, and so I'm making this brief video to say a few words about my feelings and to also talk a little bit about your future, your immediate future, and what can happen a little further in the future. So to begin with, I'd like to say congratulations. You have made it through English 1000. Not everyone can say that. In fact, because we've just started calling it English 1000 this semester, hardly anyone can say that. You've really made an accomplishment, and if you like, you can feel proud about yourself. I'd also like to say thank you. I'd like to thank you first for your effort and your participation, without which there would be no class. There would be very little use for me just talking to myself about English composition. I pretty much know this stuff. So thank you very much for being involved in the class and for working to make the class better. I'd also like to thank you for your persistence. You have not quit. And again, that's something that, if you like, you can be proud of yourself for. It means a lot to have come all the way through a difficult class such as English 1000, and you have done it. Again, congratulations. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the future. To begin with, as you know, I'm kind of lax with deadlines in this class. I'll accept work pretty much when it's ready. However, I work for a large bureaucratic institution, and that means that there are certain deadlines that I cannot be lax about, and one of them is coming up. I have to submit my grades for this class by a certain date, which means that I can't accept material for this class after a certain date. This semester, that date is October 21st, which is this coming Tuesday. If you have anything to submit it to me, please submit it before the end of Tuesday, October 21st. I cannot receive anything after that date. Now I'd like to talk to you about what might happen a little further in the future. Because I'm in the English department, I have a real interest in you taking more English classes, so I'd like to suggest a few. I'd like to start by suggesting English 1001, which is critical thinking. I'll actually be teaching this course in the next semester, so I can tell you that the course will involve reading and thinking about what you've read, kind of what you've done in the last part of this class. You'll be looking at how writers think, how they use feeling, how they use the ethos of citation and careful research. And that will be a semester of thinking about what you read and writing about what you think. So that's English 1001. I can also recommend English 140, which is Appreciation of Literature, also a class I'll be teaching in the next semester. In Appreciation of Literature, you'll have a chance to read poems and stories and plays, and to think about them using terms of literary criticism. These terms will help you, I think about these texts more deeply and more interestingly, and of course you'll have a chance to write about what you think. And that's English 140. Finally, I'd like to recommend English 135, which is Business Writing. People who work in the business field have a slightly different way of communicating than people who work in, say, the academic field. So the kind of English you've been studying in this class will work very well in academic writing, but if you want to go into business, you might consider taking English 135 and learn a little bit more about that specialized way of communicating. And so with that in mind, I'd like to thank you very much, and really from the bottom of my heart, for your time and attention.